Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I always liked direct people, straight shooters. You know, crazy or not, good or bad, a straight shooter. At least you can bet that person is more honest than the other ones that are a little bit more diplomatic. You know what I mean? So we have here a straight shooter, or at least he has been a straight shooter for the past year, and that is none other than the former president of the Russian Federation, Dmitry Medvedev. He made some fantastic statements before, but this one is, I don't know, you'll see. Here it is. Mr. Medvedev said that maybe Russia should strike the court in The Hague using hypersonic missiles. Right, let's see, let's read this little article coming from Ukrainska Pravda from today, March the 20th, 2023. Medvedev threatens to strike court in The Hague with Oniks hypersonic missile. Okay, that's a good one. Now, you want this? I'm asking the West leaders. Well, do you want this or you want Putin? Okay. None of them is good from your perspective, but I think this is a little bit worse than the other one, right? Dmitry Medvedev, deputy chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation, has threatened to launch a missile strike against the International Criminal Court in The Hague, which had earlier issued an arrest warrant for Russian dictator Vladimir Putin in connection with the deportation of Ukrainian children to Russia. Yeah, okay. Now, I think Medvedev is a little bit, I think he's trolling the whole thing, because if he would really want to settle scores, that's just a symptom. You have to go to the origin of the cause, and you find that cause in other places. And you're not going to find it in Washington, D.C. either. You're not going to find it in Berlin or London. You'll find it in some, if you believe it or not, private citizens that are not public figures, in a way that, public servants or elected officials. No, that's not them. So if you really want to talk with somebody, he should maybe pay a visit to some business people, and then maybe if he does that, then everybody else, which is just a consequence of that, will behave differently for his benefit. I'm not saying that's the way it should be done, but I think he's just trolling these people, because it's like let's say that he's doing this to The Hague, which I'm pretty sure 100%, 90%, 99% he's not going to do it. But if he does that, you did what? Another court will pop up somewhere, or some other people will do it. So it's just you're like a Don Quixote. You're fighting the wrong thing. It's the wind, and not only the wind, it's the existence of these things, but the main thing is nature. You fight nature. So the same here. You don't fight The Hague, you don't fight Biden or the U.S. military-industrial complex. If you look only at the military, at, let's say, the Pentagon, you don't fight only that. All those are fueled by something else. That is where Medvedev, if he really wants to annihilate his enemy, that's the one. So let's see what else this guy is talking about here. Quote from Medvedev: "Gentlemen, everyone walks under God and missiles." Okay. It is quite possible to imagine the targeted use of hypersonic Oniks from the North Sea by a Russian ship at the Hague court building. Unfortunately, it cannot be shot down, and the court is just a poor international organization, not the population of a NATO country. That's why they won't start a war. They are afraid, and no one will feel sorry for them. So, judges of the court, look carefully at the sky. End quote. He's just kidding. Not kidding, but he doesn't have the power to do anything. But about the NATO, yes, I think they're cowards. Otherwise, not NATO. I put it this differently, because if you look at NATO, NATO is not NATO. NATO has a leader, and when the leader moves left, all the little fish move left, and so on. So that's the NATO actually. The other ones are just to make a number. It's like in this system of I don't know, democratic system. You have people hiding behind numbers, and when you hide behind numbers, you think that you have immunity, because you say, well, we've been 50 thieves, so 51 thieves actually. So we've been 51 thieves, so you can't punish all of us because we're 51. And we were actually elected by the population. Therefore, we had imperium, we had the legitimacy of acting in the name of the people. It doesn't mean that you can ruin everybody else's lives. But anyway, let's move on here. Details. The deputy chairman of the Russian Security Council wrote a post that was, as usual, long and full of insulting epithets. Okay, I think he just wants to mirror the other side. He called the issuance of the arrest warrant for Putin, and I'm quoting, the final collapse of the international law system. Medvedev went on to write several paragraphs of insults to the ICC, which, according to the Russian official, and I'm quoting, no one needs, and whose effectiveness is allegedly, quote-unquote, zero. According to Putin's subordinate, well, was this meant to be nice? Mild? Was that? And the one with dictator, where is that? Dictator, right here. Was that nice? Because you didn't prove he's a dictator, he was democratically elected. So, see, Ukrainska Pravda, before you point out to other people's faults, why don't you pick up a mirror and look at you objectively? According to Putin's subordinate, which is true, yes, Medvedev is his subordinate, but put in this context, you know what they mean. A country and its leaders can be judged in two cases. When the country itself has become savagely weakened, almost lost its sovereignty, and decided to recognize the judgment of the court, and when the country has lost the war and surrendered. Medvedev believes that after the arrest warrant for Putin, and I'm quoting, the consequences of international law will be terrible, as this decision allegedly leads to, and I'm quoting, the collapse of the foundations, the principles of law. Background: on March 17, 2023, pre-trial Chamber 2 of the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants for Russian President Vladimir Putin and Maria Lvova-Belova, Russian Presidential Commissioner for Children's Affairs, in view of the situation in Ukraine. All member states of the International Criminal Court are now legally bound, like something will happen to them, to detain Vladimir Putin and hand him over to the court. President Zelensky has called we don't care. So, I made a video earlier, actually yesterday, where I pointed out that Germany, a German, I think it was foreign minister, a guy who's a subordinate of other countries, he said that if Putin comes to Germany, he will be arrested. Well, first, Putin is not going to come to Germany, but he can go to United States of America and he will not be arrested. For the same reason for which, Russia is not a signatory of this court, which is international because it has more than 2 countries in it, but it doesn't have all the countries. It's not recognized by the United Nations. It's not under the United Nations umbrella. It's there, true, but the United States doesn't recognize its legitimacy as well, or jurisdiction. So that means zero value. But Putin can go and visit United States of America, since United States of America is not legally bound by all this international criminal court of Hague. It's like I make, I don't know, set up a court with my neighbor, and then we decide that that neighbor, they are not signatory of our agreement. They committed a crime. Therefore, what? If you come to my house, I will arrest you. If you come to his house, we will arrest you. That's basically what it works, how it works. But besides, these countries who are signatory are not the heavyweights of this planet, because China is not a signatory of this, India is not, Pakistan is not, Russia is not, the United States is not. The rest are bottom feeders. Yes. I know there are some people, there are some countries over there that think that they are the first class heavyweights. No, you're not. You are at the orders of one of these heavyweights. Yes, Great Britain, France, all this. France hopes and plays like it's independent. No. Look at the foreign policy of France and see it aligns to whatever the US says. It's not going to deviate. It's going to pretend that plays a game of I'm independent like Charles de Gaulle. You're not. Look at Macron. He just bypassed the parliament vote on the so-called pension reform, which is not a pension reform. It's just I'm going to make you work longer and harder because I failed in providing a fantastic environment where that's not needed. So therefore, I failed, but I'm going to drop the shit, my shit, on you. And the same thing goes for Biden. Look, the same thing goes for Scholz. But these are democratically elected. They're not dictators. They're democratically elected. Look at Great Britain. Look at their economies. Look at their inflation. I'm living it. So yeah, it's good to switch people attention from a reality to another reality that is far probably in the priorities of every human being. Because if you go to reality, you need to survive, the first thing, right? And then you have responsibilities, you have families, and you don't give up about Putin over there having 3 Muscovite or Moscovite prostitutes around him every night. You don't care. You don't care if he uses a double. You don't care if he visits Mariupol. You don't care what happens in Ukraine, as long as you have everything covered. And you don't have. Most people don't have everything covered. But this is the way you do. You just distract people's attention with, oh, Donald Trump might be arrested tomorrow. Oh yeah. All right, well, you don't have food. Your kids' life will be worse than yours. But hey, Trump will be arrested. And after he gets arrested, what? Let's say tomorrow Trump disappears. Then what? They're going to bring you another one that takes your focus from your life, reality, and their hanky-panky to something, as I said, in your book of priorities is probably 150th place. But hey, this is what happens with people with IQs below 86. And not only. Because you would be surprised. I met people with PhDs, a lot of them, and that's like a rupture when you speak about certain. So they're logical, they have a correct way of thinking, which means uses logic, objective, gathering information, and so on. But when it's about certain subjects, they lose all that, and it's unbelievable. But Medvedev is not going to drop any bombs on anybody, even if he was going to be president one day again. Probably if he would be, he would be either the West tool. I suspect that very much. He's just doing this to or cover his tracks. And the other one, but I think they know if that would be the case, they being the dictator over there, if he's still alive, right? And the other one, he's going to probably be more decisive in saying, you know what, back off or we're going to do it, and possibly could do it. I'm talking about the Ukraine war, with atomic bombs or nuclear bombs or rockets, whatever they want to use. We'll see. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.